bastards. If it's war they seek, it's war I should bring.
First.
Then one day, gazing towards the horizon, the Queen spotted Lyrian banners whipping about in the wind.
At long last,
She said with a smile. Neve resolved to speak with the commander, one Baronet Eldar. It was the first time they met, and the youth very much impressed her. Yet instead of questioning Eldar about the foe's troop movements, Reynard took the conversation down a seemingly irrelevant path.
And how's your father, if I may ask? In good health, I hope?
Yes, though he still nurses that bump he suffered while hunting last winter. Yet he's not one to complain. I'll tell him you are.
Reynard, this is no time for gossip and pleasantries.
Yes, Your Majesty. And in such times, little should be taken at face value. Even a man's name.
Get to the point, Reynard.
Eldar's father died a month past. His son, I venture, should have known as much.
But that means... Oh, the bastard. Impeccable accent, though.
I fear he's rather representative of what we face. Nilfgaardian spies are ever well prepared.
Tell me, how did you know?
He wears no mourning on his armor. Were it not for that, I dare say I might never have guessed. What are your orders, Your Grace? To observe these Nilfgaardian mummers?
Assemble a force. Tell them to follow our new allies.
As you wish, Your Grace.
Reynard's scouts did as ordered. watching the false Lyrians while themselves remaining unseen. Soon after, a scout returned with news that the false Lyrians seemed headed for Rastburg, a castle set.
House, barn, granary, blackclads burnt it all down. Begged her, milady, on hands and knees. They just laughed. What the devil is going on? Where are our reinforcements? Why does Willem not ride out to face the foe, relieve besieged?
Beware, my lady. Keep a keen watch. Heard the thunder of hooves from the high road. Cries for losses.
Niamh and company passed by a village evidently pillaged by the Nilfgaardians. From afar they had heard cries, but as they drew near they recognized them not as cries of grief, but as the Queen demanded an explanation. A ruddy-faced blacksmith stepped forth and spit.
A Nilfgaardian spy the horse and his, your majesty. He's the one brought him here to raise the village. He's got to hang.
The other villagers agreed with the smith.
Whence this certainty of his guilt? Have you any proof?
Asked Niamh.
Did anyone see him communing with the foe? Did he hold any coin with a foreign stamp?
The villagers eyed Niamh angrily, their hands clenched into fists. Yet none dared utter a word in protest.
Know this. The Blackclads need no reason to pillage our homes. Now stand aside and let this wretch go.
The elf tearfully thanked the Queen, then begged her not to leave him behind. Instead, he pleaded vehemently to join her retinue.
Your most noble grace, please, I beg you. As soon as you're gone, the Dwan will hang me from the nearest tree.
So be it.
Said the Queen after a moment's consideration.
Find the quartermaster. He's to put you to work. And now we march.
The villagers gazed with hatred as the company left the hamlet. When its thatched roof huts...
You've shown yourself to be merciful, my lady. Here the Blackclads go up with some
Remember this, Nilfgaardians. You'll not defeat the gods. They fear not your...
A dark shadow suddenly cut across the sky. The Queen instinctively brought her shield up, convinced a Nilfgaardian catapult had lobbed a boulder their way. Yet when the boulder landed in the road ahead, it smashed into splinters and proved an empty barrel.
This is what they'd cast at us. barrel.
Meve stood in her stirrups, squinted, peered into the distance, and let out a hearty chortle. For the barrel had been loosed by neither catapult nor trebuchet, but by a rock troll.
Troll or non-troll?
Said the queen, drawing her sword.
None deserve to die at Nilfgaard's hands. Follow me!
The walls of the temple collapsed. The buttresses doubtless damaged by something.
Or someone. There's naught we can do here. We ride on.
A peasant cart, loaded with a heap of hay, came rattling down the road from the opposite direction.
Clear the road!
Bellowed Count Caldwell, standing in his stirrups.
Make way for your queen!
The peasants obediently turned their cart into the roadside nettles. As she passed, Meve glanced towards it and froze. Atop the hay bale lay a badly wounded man gripped by fever. The thick, sweet stench of rot wafted from his bandaged legs.
Gods. Who did this to him?
Meve asked.
Bandit?
Out to the east, down Wetterton way, lies a boneyard. Old as the elves, they say.
The peasant continued.
Clayton was setting snares round about there. Came running back to us, drenched in blood, rattling on about a long-haired wench come climbing out a grave. We's taken him to the good sisters of Melitele here on bridge. Perhaps they can help him.
I'm certain they can. And will.
Replied the queen. Though just looking at the wounded wretch, she knew he'd expire before nightfall.
God speed you on your journey.
The queen whistled, and her mare resumed its trot.
Shall I send for a witcher, your grace?
Caldwell asked.
One of those freaks should make short work of the monster.
Until we apprehend the bandits, I shan't allow a single soul to leave our company. Even on such an important mission as finding a witcher.
Meve replied.
Any who did would be captured at once. But, if fate brings us near Wetterton, perhaps we'll see to this monstrous harridan ourselves.
Your grace, we've only just fought beasts and scarcely escaped with our lives. This she-beast will take a silver sword.
Off to Wetterton, are ye? Bonny tune that. Just the folk are beyond shite. Off to Wetterton. Off to Wet...
As they neared Wetterton, the queen ordered her company to halt. She then sent men to the town for supplies. Those sent returned more quickly than she'd assumed they would, their satchels empty, their mounts foaming at the mouth.
Your Majesty, the townsfolk have gone right mad. Herded all the elves and dwarves at Market Square. 'Tis a slaughter.
The queen knew well that if she failed to intervene, the town's streets would flow with non-human blood. Just...
What is your command, your grace?
Reynard's question pierced the silence.
What can it be, dear friend?
Answered the queen, then spurred her mount and rode off towards the town. Her troops followed, running as fast as their legs would carry them. When they passed inside the town gate, they saw corpses lining the gutters.
Step away, or see your heads bounce down the cobblestones! Reynard, who started this? I must know. So much hatred. We must put a stop to it.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Company! We must strike the largest clusters! Disperse the mob!
Step away, or see your heads bounce down the cobblestones!
Can't take it anymore.
So much hatred. We must put a stop to it. Reynard, who started this? I must know.
Her Majesty is... We must strike the largest clusters! Disperse the mob!
Happily, Niamh restored order without suffering any losses. Reynard then learned that a nobleman's ire had triggered the violence, ire at having discovered a theft.
Suspicion fell on the non-humans he employed. He accused them, they protested, and the row soon engulfed the town. But there's something else, Your Grace.
Reynard gestured towards an aged man who stood grieving, his face in his hands.
I've witnesses who claim the strays of Sparla are the thieves.
Though the tragedy seemed the result of a misunderstanding, justice would have to be served. Those responsible for the slaughter would need to be punished. The question was, how severely?
You are guilty. That can't be denied.
Said the Queen, turning towards the bloody rioting's instigators.
A false rumor you took, and turned into a cruel lynch. Thus punishment is your lot. A public lashing, fines, imprisonment. But you shall keep your lives, for enough blood has been spilt here this day.
Wetterton's inhabitants breathed a sigh of relief. But the non-human survivors took offense at the lenient sentence. Soon after, the Lyrian army's elves and dwarves quietly disappeared, deserted. Few doubted the...
We must trust each other.